Don't switch off. It's not as stuffy as it sounds. Think of it as mental weightlifting, but instead of muscles, you're buffing up your brain. Intrigued? Good. Let's dive in. Philosophy is basically the art of asking big, awkward questions. You know, the kind that keep you up at 3 a.m. after one too many biscuits and a late-night documentary about the universe. Stuff like, what's the meaning of life? Or, are those really my thumbs? Or did someone swap them in the night? Don't worry, there's no right or wrong answers here, just a whole lot of head-scratching and mind-bending possibilities. It's about thinking critically, challenging assumptions, and generally being a bit of a know-it-all. But in a good way, yeah? So buckle up, Buttercup, because we're about to embark on a whirlwind tour of philosophy's greatest hits. Get ready to impress your mates with your newfound wisdom, or at least win a few pub arguments. Now you might be thinking, philosophy? That's for bearded blokes in togas, innit? Well, not exactly. Philosophy is for everyone, even if you think you're not a thinker. It's about understanding yourself, the world around you, and that weird feeling you get when you realize your reflection is just light bouncing off a mirror. Why does any of this matter? Well, for starters, it's pretty darn interesting. It's like peeking behind the curtain of reality and seeing how the universe ticks. Plus, understanding a bit of philosophy can help you navigate life's big questions like, should I get chips with that? Or is it ever acceptable to wear socks with sandals? But on a more serious note, philosophy can help you develop critical thinking skills, improve your arguments, handy for winning those pub debates, and become a more well-rounded individual. And who knows, you might even discover the meaning of life along the way. But no promises, mate. So, next time someone asks you what you're thinking about, you can casually drop, "Oh, just pondering the nature of existence." They'll be well impressed. Philosophy, like your dad's questionable dance moves, has been around for ages. We're talking way back, like ancient Greece, where a bunch of blokes in togas, told you, started asking annoyingly difficult questions. These weren't your average pub quiz questions either. They were more along the lines of, what is reality? Is there a God? And if a tree falls in the woods and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Yeah, deep stuff. These early philosophers were like the rock stars of their time. Well, maybe not rock stars, more like really smart blokes who like to argue in public. But they laid the groundwork for Western philosophy and influenced everything from science and politics to art and literature. So, next time you're struggling with a tricky question, just remember, even those toga-wearing geniuses didn't have all the answers, but they sure knew how to ask the right questions. And that's half the battle won, right? Now, philosophy isn't just one big blob of existential angst. It's got branches, mate, like a tree, or a particularly philosophical spider plant. Each branch tackles a different set of questions, so you can pick your poison, so to speak. First up, we've got metaphysics. This one's all about the nature of reality. Think Matrix-style questions like, is this all a simulation? Or if I eat a whole cake, does it still exist? Then there's epistemology, which is a fancy word for the study of knowledge. It asks questions like, what is truth? And how do we know what we know? Basically, it's about figuring out if you actually know anything at all, or if you're just making it up as you go along. Next, we have ethics, which deals with morality and right and wrong. This branch helps us answer questions like, should I steal this biscuit? Or is it ever okay to wear Crocs in public? These are just a few of the main branches, mind you. There's also logic, political philosophy, aesthetics, and a whole bunch of others. It's a veritable philosophical buffet, and you're free to pick and choose what tickles your fancy. Section 5, Socrates, OG of questioning everything. Now let's meet some of the bigwigs of the philosophy world, starting with the OG himself, Socrates. This Greek geezer was like the annoying kid in class who always asked why. Except, instead of getting sent to the headmaster, he ended up becoming one of the most influential thinkers of all time. Socrates didn't write anything down himself, probably too busy asking questions, so we know about him through his student, Plato. He was a big fan of the Socratic method, which is basically just asking a load of questions until you expose someone's ignorance. Not exactly the best way to make friends, but hey, it worked for him. Socrates believed that the unexamined life wasn't worth living. He reckoned we should constantly be questioning our beliefs and assumptions. So next time someone tries to feed you a load of old codswallop, channel your inner Socrates and hit them with a barrage of questions. They'll either see the error of their ways or run for the hills. Either way, you win. Section 6, Plato, escaping the cave of ignorance. Next up, we've got Plato, Socrates' star pupil. This guy was a bit of a philosophical heavyweight, known for his theory of forms. Don't worry, it's not as boring as it sounds. Imagine you're stuck in a cave, yeah? All you can see are shadows projected on the wall. You think those shadows are reality because, well, that's all you know. But then, one day, you escape the cave and see the real world, bathed in glorious sunlight. Mind blown. That's basically Plato's theory in a nutshell. He believed that the physical world is just a shadow of a higher realm of perfect forms. These forms are like the blueprints for everything in existence, from chairs and tables to justice and beauty. Plato's ideas have had a massive impact on Western thought, influencing everything from religion and art to politics and science. Section 7, Aristotle, Logic's your mate. Now let's meet Aristotle, Plato's most famous student. If Plato was all about the big abstract ideas, Aristotle was more of a show-me-the-evidence kind of guy. He was a big fan of logic and reason, and he believed that the best way to understand the world was through observation and analysis. Aristotle was a bit of a polymath, which means he was interested in everything. He wrote about ethics, politics, physics, biology, you name it. He even had a go at poetry, but let's just say his talents lay elsewhere. One of Aristotle's most important contributions was his work on logic. He developed a system of reasoning that's still used today to analyze arguments and determine their validity. So next time you're trying to win an argument, channel your inner Aristotle and use logic to crush your opponents. Aristotle believed in finding a balance in life, the golden mean between extremes. His ideas about logic, observation, and finding balance still resonate today. Section 8. Modern minds, shaking things up. Fast forward a few centuries, and philosophy got a bit of a makeover. The Enlightenment brought with it a new wave of thinkers who were all about reason, individualism, and human progress. Think John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and Immanuel Kant. These guys were like the philosophical equivalent of a triple espresso. They really shook things up. They challenged traditional ways of thinking about everything from politics and religion to morality and knowledge. They argued for individual rights, limited government, and the power of reason. Their ideas helped spark revolutions, reshape societies, and lay the foundation for modern democracy. The world of philosophy is constantly evolving, with new ideas and perspectives emerging all the time. From existentialism and postmodernism to feminism and critical race theory, there's no shortage of philosophical movements that have shaped our understanding of the world. Section 9. Philosophy on the streets. Now, you might be thinking, this is all well and good, but what's philosophy got to do with me? Well, mate, philosophy is everywhere, even if you don't realize it. It's in the way we think about the world, the choices we make, and the conversations we have down the pub. Ever argued about whether pineapple belongs on pizza? Congratulations, you've engaged in a philosophical debate about taste and aesthetics. Ever questioned whether it's ever okay to tell a white lie? That's ethics, my friend. Philosophy is all around us, shaping our thoughts, actions, and beliefs. So the next time you're watching the telly, scrolling through social media, or chatting with your mates, pay attention to the philosophical underpinnings of those everyday activities. You might be surprised by how much philosophy is hidden in plain sight. Section 10. Thinking caps on, your world, your philosophy. The beauty of philosophy is that it's not a spectator sport. You don't need a degree in philosophy to have your own philosophical views. Everyone has a philosophy, even if they don't call it that. It's the set of beliefs and values that guide your actions and shape your worldview. So don't be afraid to ask big questions, challenge assumptions, and think critically about the world around you. Read books, watch documentaries, have conversations, and most importantly, don't be afraid to change your mind. Philosophy is a journey, not a destination, and the more you explore, the richer your understanding of yourself and the world will become. Remember, you don't need to have all the answers. In fact, the more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know, and that's okay. The important thing is to keep asking questions, keep learning, and keep growing. Section 11. Keep questioning, keep growing. So, there you have it, a crash course in philosophy. We've covered everything from the ancient Greeks to modern-day dilemmas, all while trying to keep it light and engaging. Hopefully, you've learned a thing or two, had a few laughs, and maybe even been inspired to do a bit of philosophical pondering of your own. Remember, philosophy is more than just a bunch of old ideas gathering dust in textbooks. It's a living, breathing discipline that's relevant to our lives today. It helps us make sense of the world, navigate ethical dilemmas, and understand ourselves a little bit better. So, go forth, my friends, and embrace your inner philosopher. Question everything, challenge assumptions, and never stop learning. The world is your oyster and philosophy is your guide. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a date with a plate of chips and a particularly intriguing episode of QI. Cheers!